The Ben Heck Show is brought to you by Element 14, the electronic design community and online store built for engineers and hobbyists alike. Join now and browse the store at element14.com.
In the year 2000, Ben Heckendorn built his first mod.
We can rebuild it. Smaller, better, portable.
Since then, he has continued his work, helping those in need with creative new projects. Got an idea you'd like to see built? Why not send it to the Ben Heck Show?
Hello and welcome back to the Ben Heck Show. In this episode, I'm late for work, so it's going to be up to my assistant Allison to get the files ready to route the new portable workbench we're going to be making.
Where is Ben? Where are you? We have to get this project done.
Allison, it's Ben. Sorry I'm late.
What's the code?
6, 9, 4, 3, 6.
All I see is a fish. What do I do?
Click on the icon for AI. That's Adobe Illustrator.
But there's an error message. What do I do?
Do whatever it wants.
It's open. What's the file name?
It's under Portabench. It should be the highest revision number. Do you see it?
I see it.
Go to the right and hit the Layers button. How many eyeballs do you see? Are any missing?
There's only 4.
Okay, that's not enough eyeballs. Engage all eyeballs!
All eyeballs, engage.
Okay, now all layers are visible. Zoom in on the main area of the drawing.
Zoom.
At the bottom, you should see a top-down view of the case. Do you see it?
I see it.
Okay, you need to do a marquee selection of the main area, the main work area. Okay, hit Control-C to copy it. Have you copied it? Okay, good. Now go to the lower right-hand corner of the screen and paste it. Control-V now!
It's done, but Ben, we don't have much time.
Never tell me the odds! Delete the top part with the hinges. Delete the extra layers. Delete everything we don't need to route.
Deleted!
Select the things on the left.
Could you be less obvious?
No, I can't be any less obvious than that. Select them and move them to the left.
How far?
Okay, you have to move it far enough so the drill bit has space between the two objects. Now do the same thing for the objects on the right. Okay, that part is ready to be routed. Go back to the main layout. Use the hand tool to drag the screen around and then Z to zoom in. We need to take apart the main structure of the unit. Zoom in on the top of the unit.
Zoomed in.
Go to the Layers tab and deselect all the eyeballs except for the top.
All other eyeballs turned off, Ben.
Select the items, copy and move to the bottom corner.
I don't know. I can do this.
You've got to try!
I did it! I did it! Why are we pulling apart the design?
We have to separate the design part so we can route it. It routes in 2 dimensions, the parts have to be in 2 dimensions. Okay, you see the pieces on the screen grouped together?
Yes.
How much wood do we have?
What a coincidence! I measured this morning. We have a 32 by 48 and then 38 by 48 piece.
Okay, draw a box that size around the objects. Does it fit? Does it fit?
It fits!
Breathe, Allison. You did it. We're ready to route. I'll be there in 1 second. Oh, gosh. Sorry I'm late.
The files are ready for routing, but how did you design this? Do we have time for a flashback?
Yeah, I think so.
The first Portabench was pretty cool, but it had some design problems. For one thing, the locking mechanism was overly complex. It looked kind of like the Antikythera mechanism or something. Another thing that was too complex about the old design is how the arms opened up. The old design had a sliding mechanism that went over a bolt. You had to lift it up and then open it. It would be a lot easier to use a hinge. I brought the old design into a new file and revised it from there. I had to use several views, most importantly a top-down view, which you may remember, Allison, from our phone call, and a front view so we can see how it goes together. The absolute most important aspect of this build is hinge placement and where the axis of the hinge is. You have to accurately reproduce the hinge into the computer in order for it to work properly when the workbench is assembled. It must be completely accurate! Asterisk, within like a thousandth of an inch. Here's the end view of the hinge. There's a center point on it. I had to make sure it would rotate on that center point so everything would line up correctly. I had to make sure there was the right amount of space between the work surface and the main case, so when the work surface folds up into the case, it's flush with the edges. Also, I wanted better tool placement, so I scanned some tools into the computer and got the measurements from the image. I then used this to create a better bracket system so the tools could be placed nicely inside the case. Those are the main challenges I faced when I redesigned the portable workbench. It was a long, hard journey that took approximately 3 hours, but somehow I survived.
That was very edifying.
Oh, thanks. Next, we should get the files ready to be output to the router. Now we've got this program, which is called PartWorks, and it's also, sometimes it's called vCarve. PartWorks is what they call it when you get it with a shopbot. So we'll open up the existing file that we just saved, which is an AI file. Now here, it wants to know how thick the material is. And here's a scrap piece from there. You know, you go to Menards, you get 1/2-inch plywood, but it's never exactly what it's supposed to be. This one is more like 0.47. So we're gonna put that as the thickness. Now, if you see here, the Z0 says it at the top of the material, not the bottom. It's extra important to have your thickness right because the machine will judge the thickness of the material based off the top here. So if you have your material too thick, the bit will actually cut into the table. The thing we want to do next is start to drill our tool path. So we want to start with our drill holes, or screw holes. So there's quite a few 1/8-inch screw holes in this. So we'll just select all these, and those will be the first things that we route. Next, we're going to set up some V-grooves. We want to have little grooves on our workbench so we can set pencils and screws into it. So on our screen, we have these, and they're spaced out, but there's a vector here which indicates where the line's going to go. So basically, it's just a line. So it says, okay, find that line and hit it with the V-bit. Now here we have an area where we're going to catch some of the solder gunk, so we're going to actually make a little tray that inserts. So we need to do a clean out on this. So there's 2 different depths. There's the depth of the tray itself, and then the finger holders. The final thing to do is cut out the perimeters of all these pieces. So we're going to take the perimeters of these objects, and same thing, cut depth is going to be 0.47. We're going to go outside this time, but we're going to add tabs. Now, since there's no vacuum system on this table, what we do is we leave little tabs like this on the pieces, so they'll stay in place, and then you can just snap these out when you're done. There you have it. You can see all the pieces and how they're going to be cut out. Having a portable workbench is great, but having the right tools inside is awesome. Tools can be very expensive if you're outfitting an entire new toolbox from scratch. However, Element 14 stocks a wide variety of private label tools that won't break your budget. Having some tools that are ESD safe is critical when working with semiconductors. Semiconductors are often made from silicon, which is susceptible to high voltage spikes. If you get out of bed and it's like, or if you pet a cat and you static electricity, the reason it arcs across distances is because the voltage is very high. Static is deadly to many board level components. At element14.com, Element 14 being silicon, you can buy ESD safe products that will help protect your project. From screwdrivers to soldering irons, check out the DuraTool, Tenma, and SPC technology brands at element14.com. Great tools, great price. So Jones, why don't you tell us what we did today?
Well, we got these amazing rubbers to put on the flippers finally, so they look pretty cool. And then now we replaced crappy leaf switches with real micro switches, and now the buttons actually work like you would expect them to.
So now we can show you what this rapid system will actually do. So we lift up this grate here, and then we can put pieces in to quickly come up with shots. So now we're going to put in some more of the basic geometry. The standard pinball area you see here, that's on most machines, is called an Italian layout. So things like the sling targets and these objects won't really change. So we can build those into our board right now. It's all this. This is what's variable. All right, well, we've come up with some shots, and I think this one's pretty good. If you shoot the left here, it turns to kind of a randomization, kind of goes to this area. And then one thing I like for a big loop is right here. See how it keeps returning it right to the flipper? So that'd be fun. That. The flippers are certainly orders of magnitude more powerful than the Paxton ones. Okay, now we've got this to simulate a ramp. I know it doesn't really look like a ramp, but the idea is if you can hit the ball into here, that means it'll go up the ramp. And this is kind of interesting. On the computer, you would never think, if you were drawing this in the computer, you would probably never think this angle would work. But even like a weak launch shot will clear the ramp. Okay, so we're thinking about having this, the light cave over here. So Jones is attempting to see how easy it is to hit that. Yeah, that probably would have gone in. So we have the rapid pinball prototyping system working pretty good now, and we can test all our shots. And the nice thing about this system is you can pull all the geometry off the board just like that. And as you can see, we haven't drilled any holes at all in this board. So once we figure out the geometry for one game, like the base geometry for one game, we can use this board to do another game. We just unscrew these pieces. We'll see you next time on Pinball Wars. Here's all the pieces to make the portable workbench, and now it's again being made out of wood, unlike Sintra, like the original one. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of do a dry run of putting this together before I stain the pieces. This is always my favorite part of a project because it's like Lincoln Logs meets Jenga meets building a house of cards meets machinery. I mean, what more could you want? I can't think of anything more. Maybe spaghetti. So in this area, we can put a power supply so we can have some rail voltages, very useful. And that's where the button will go to activate it. So that's the base. Then we have these rear arm pieces, and these rotate like this when we're done. But for now, we're just going to assemble it in its closed position. So there's an inner wall here, and there's a hole in it because right here we're gonna have a power strip for the tools. It'll go down here into this hole, and in here is where we'll have the extension cord, which will go out the back. So that's the side of it. Then we've got this part here, which fits. Now you can see why taking the design apart in the right order was important, because you gotta make sure all this stuff fits. Here's the top. All right. And then the side wall, this won't quite go into place because this is actually going to be about like right here. And we have another back wall piece, which fits here. And we have this thing. It's a little different because we're going to have a Velcro stop here, which we'll see later on. Okay, then we have another piece here. And as you can see, there's holes drilled, so these pieces can attach into the sides like that. Whee! This is kind of fun because it's kind of hard to make this stand up without it, falling down like a deck of cards, but it's an interesting challenge. The handle is going to go right here, and see how the sides come apart? Because what actually holds the work surface in place are the two side pieces. They fold in like this, and see how they are higher than this? So when you put it all together, hopefully this won't fall down. When you put it all together, those pieces are held in by this. See how that works? And that's what keeps this from opening up when it's all together. Now it's time to stain this puppy to make it look nice and then put it together for real.
It's very important that we install the hinges to match our computer drawings, otherwise things won't fold together properly. To avoid splitting the wood, I first drive a pilot hole. I then countersink it to fit the head of a screw flush against the wood. Finally, the screws themselves go in. The machine-drilled holes, along with keeping edges of the wood flush, allow me to assemble most of this without measurements. Spending time getting the computer drawings right will save me time here. I guess I should have countersunk these before I stained it. Oh well, hindsight is 20/20. Finally, I assemble the arm chambers and portable workbench Mark II is ready to go.
All right, it's all put together, so let me give you a demonstration of the features. You undo these latches, then this opens up here. Now remember this on the computer we talked about see how that misses? Just barely misses. Once those are open, that allows this to come down, and we can open it up. Then over here I've added a hinge, so this comes out, reveals our screwdriver. This comes down and reveals a bunch of parts and a little multimeter that we can use. And then we have some drill bits we can rotate out, and hot glue gun and a bunch of pliers. So yeah, it's a lot neater and cleaner than the old one. In here we have a PC power supply with a bunch of leads, so you get a bunch of rail powers you can use, 3.3 volts, 5 volts, 12 volts. And we can also hold, you know, some extra wires, solder. And then what we have here is basically a power cord. It goes into the PC power supply, then also goes over here to the right to the power strip. And we made our little custom thing here on the wall to stick, see how the things slot into it, so we can hold our soldering iron and desoldering iron. And there's room here for a drill and a Dremel as well. And then we have, remember the finger holders, the thing that didn't make any sense? Finger holders mean you can reach in and pull out this cartridge to dump out the solder crap, and then you can stick it back in. And then we close it back up the same way, but in reverse. So now I'm ready to go make the world a better place. I'll fix you. And I thought they smelled bad on the outside. Don't thank me, thank the portable workbench. If you enjoyed this project, you can find plans to make your own portable workbench in the March issue of Popular Mechanics magazine. You can also find the plans on element14.com/TBHS. In our next episode, we're making a retro-styled Xbox 360 laptop. It came from the 70s as part of a promotion for some upcoming Atari games. We'll see you then.
The Ben Heck Show is made possible by our sponsors at Element 14. For more information on all my projects and for a list of all the parts I used today, visit element14.com. We'll see you next time.